Hey guys, Melissa Corkum here from the Essentially Connected Facebook parenting group. If you're watching the YouTube on replay, I really encourage you to hop over to the group. Lots of good discussion there, great support, friends who really get it and understand. So if you're watching the video on YouTube or on Facebook, let me know if you've ever had this experience where you feel like your child just never acts his age and you feel like the behaviors that he has cause this kind of bad cycle. Like they never just listen, and so you're always angry, and then they're always angry back at you, and so you kind of get into this bad relationship cycle and this bad behavior cycle. Our son would do things like maybe throw something at his sister, and I would correct him and maybe try to put him on a timeout, or I would yell and we don't hurt other people, and whatever consequence I would enact, maybe it was a timeout, maybe I would take something away, like a privilege away, that would make him even angrier, and then he would retaliate with another bad behavior. And when that happens, like, where does that leave you, right? So my first instinct with bad behavior is to make more rules, to gain more control. And of high structure parents or high nurture parents, I tend to be a more high structure person. Like I tend to like cause and effect consequences, like, so too bad, you shouldn't feel that way. But there's kind of this magic balance of high structure and high nurture that our kids need. So we have to remember that sometimes bad behaviors do require an increase of structure, reminding people of what the rules are, or, there are natural consequences to some behaviors, right? If you act out at school too much, you might get sent to the principal's office. These are things that we can't really stop from happening, and we wouldn't really want to protect our kids from happening. When those happen. But when structure goes up, or if our kids' behavior shows us that they need more structure around something, maybe they need more supervision or they need more guidance, then we have to remember that with that increase in structure, we have to increase the nurture as well. And sometimes we forget that last part. I know I forget it a lot too. So understanding the why of your child's behaviors and approaching them with compassion, this increased nurture along with the increase in structure, can really help us get ourselves out of the cycle. So one of the best ways to disrupt a negative behavior pattern is to restore trust with our children. Our kids need to know that we can be trusted to meet their needs and that we're on the same side. So how often does it feel like you and your child against each other rather than you and your child against the behavior? So, one of the best ways to build trust with our kids is to go back to attachment theory, infant attachment theory, and realize that trust is built when a person has a need and then someone meets that need. And when a particular someone meets that need again and again and again, it builds trust and attachment. So it's naturally happens with babies, right? They're cute and they don't talk back and they have a need. They are hungry or they're wet or they're sleepy, and an adult meets that need. That's the way it's supposed to happen, at least. And so over time, that infant builds an attachment to a primary caretaker or a set of primary caretakers, like two parents. And we were designed as human beings to have that trust with a small group of people. Like that's why it doesn't work as well in institution setting, like an orphanage. But we were designed to be able to trust one or two people to really, keep us safe, meet our needs. Additionally, that cycle, every time we have someone has a need and we meet that need, that creates a positive social emotional interaction. And Dr. Bruce Perry, who wrote the book The Boy Who Was Raised Like a Dog, defines maturity. He says that maturity is actually based on the number of positive social emotional interactions a person has, which makes a lot of sense, right? We see some kids who have struggled with maybe social maturity or emotional maturity, and there's a lot of things that can contribute to that. But a lot of those kids, right, start off very early on as kind of trouble kids, and the emotional interactions that they have with adults, maybe they're the trouble kid in school, like then they have these contentious relationships with teachers, right? Because teachers generally, they have patience and stuff, but if they're always at odds with a kid, that child is not receiving as many positive social emotional interactions as another child. Also, kids who struggle academically or that need to be corrected a lot, right? Those are those kids bank less positive social emotional interactions. Um, so, what do we do about this problem where we get into this negative behavior cycle and our kids aren't getting enough positive social emotional interactions in their life? So, we can play something called the yes game. This is an intentional set of time that we set aside where our goal is to build up sets of positive social emotional interactions with our kids. So what you need is a place to keep score. It could be on your phone. There are tally apps for it. It could be in a big whiteboard somewhere in your house, a piece of paper, whatever. You need some kind of like motivating prize. It can be something silly. It can be like, it can be a group prize. Like if we all do this day well, we can all go out for ice cream at the end, something that's kind of fun. And then I prefer to play this game when there's a chunk of time when you're going to be together with your child kind of uninterrupted. So, with some of us have a long weekend for the Easter weekend coming up. So, like a day where the kids have off, this is a great way to do that, especially if you're kind of fearing or dreading a day off anyway because of the lack of structure. This is a way to put some structure around it, but also with the high nurture that the structure needs. So, this is how you're going to play. You're going to have a family meeting and announce that you are trying to find more ways to say yes to your kids. Of course, they're going to agree, but you're going to need their help. And you're going to explain that you will award a point for each question that starts with a may I, like may I have a snack, or may I get a drink of water, or questions that start with will you help me? Will you help me get an art project set up? Will you help me tie my shoes? Will you help me? Something like that. So we're looking for good, respectful questions here. The question has to be said with good words and good eyes, which means like we're giving eye contact as much as a kid can. Some of our kids can't for like legitimate reasons, but look for kind of a respectful question. And then when someone asks a question of you, your job is, if at all possible, to give a yes. So the child who helps you say the most yeses by the end of the game period earns the prize. Or again, you can earn a prize for whoever reaches a certain number of yeses or points. So I know this sounds ludicrous. It sounded crazy to me too. And if your kids are like mine, they are going to milk this for all it's worth. You need to make sure that your bucket's filled up, that you're in a good mental space. Otherwise, this could totally grate on your patience and could totally backfire. It could start to get really annoying. But remember, you're playing for a finite time. You're kind of going to get yourself psyched up, jazzed for this. And then on the plus side, you'll find there are a lot of side benefits to this, like, no one ran away, turned on a screen, or got food without asking. I knew where everyone was. They responded really well to this. And at the end of the game, the goal would be that you feel more connected. You're having more fun with your kids. They feel more regulated. They feel more connected with you. And that gives you kind of a jumping off space to reset and then, do some creative brainstorming and some collaboration with them about some of the problem areas you've been having so you can address those from a regulated, happy space. So I hope that's helpful. Let me know what your plans are for this weekend. If there's any questions, if there's anything I can help you with, or what do you need the community to give you tips and tricks on to help you get through a long holiday weekend, we are here for you. So everyone have a great day, and I'll see you next week.